Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, let's get in the kitchen and make some pistachio barfi. I want to share this recipe for this quick and easy fudge-like dessert that you guys can make for Phagwah or Holi that is coming up very soon. It's a little bit different from the usual Guyanese treats and sweets, so I wanted to share this so you guys can try this at home. Let's get into the kitchen. I'm going to start off in a large bowl with some full cream milk powder or some full fat milk powder. You do not want to use the low fat for this because you're not going to get the proper texture. And as usual, all of the ingredients and the proper measurements will be left in the description box below the video. Just click on the drop down menu and everything will be there. And the next ingredient that I'm going in with is some ground cardamom or elychee. If you wanted to add in freshly grated ginger, or if you wanted to add in some cinnamon or anything like that, you could also do that. Once you get that cardamom or elychee into the milk powder, you're going to give it a good mix until everything is well combined. And at this point, I'm going to go in with some heavy whipping cream. If you didn't have heavy whipping cream or could not find it, you could also use the Nestle Table Cream that comes in the can. It's a very thick cream that you could use in place of this. Once you get that added in, you're going to go ahead and mix it up very well until it's dry and crumbly. At first when you're mixing it, it's going to be a little messy and sticky, but just keep on working with it. And at this point, once you go ahead and get a nice crumbly dry mixture, you're going to go ahead and pass it through a little sieve or a strainer of sorts. And you're just going to do that so this way we get a nice smooth and crumbly texture. If you were to go ahead and mix it just the way that it is, it's going to be too lumpy and it's not going to give you a nice mouthfeel when you're eating the barfi. And if you didn't want to do it this way, like the old-fashioned way, you can go ahead and put this in a food processor and blitz it a few times until it's nice and incorporated and crumbly. And once you pass that mixture through the sieve, you're going to go ahead and see that it's a nice crumbly, fine, and dried mixture. This is exactly what you want. Once you finish passing that entire mixture through the sieve, you're going to go ahead and add in your chopped pistachio nuts. Now I'm using some pistachios that I shelled myself, and I went ahead and I roasted them in the oven for just about 4 to 5 minutes so they can toast a little bit. And I chopped them up very finely so this way I can add it into my barfi. And at this point, I'm also going to be going in with a little bit of almond essence. Now, if you wanted to use any other extracts or essences of your choice, feel free to do it. It's optional, but I find that the almond essence and the pistachio really play well together in this dish. So I'm going to go ahead and mix everything together until the pistachios are combined. Now, the next step is to make the sugar syrup or the pod that's going to go ahead and hold that barfi together. So in a little pot, I'm going to go in with a little bit of water. And on top of that, I'm going to be adding in some sugar. Now remember, when we make barfi, we accidentally make a little bit more sugar syrup than we're going to need. So this way we will always have extra in case we need it. Sometimes the milk powder will take more and sometimes it takes less to get to that proper texture. So it's always better to have more than less. So I'm going to stir this around and I'm going to let it come up to a boil on a medium heat. Now once your mixture comes up to a boil, you want to keep on stirring it and you want to make sure that the heat is not too high because it can overboil and get too hard too quickly. My mixture's been boiling for about 6 minutes at this point, and I can tell that it's thickened up just by looking at it. So at this point, it's time to go ahead and test it. So I'm going to put a little bit onto my spoon and very carefully I'm going to blow on it and just let it cool down a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and touch it in between my fingers. As you all can see, it's forming one thread, and that is exactly what you want. If it's forming 2 threads, it means that you overcooked the sugar syrup, and if it's not forming any threads, it means you need to boil it for a little bit of longer time. Now once the mixture is done cooking and you feel it for that proper texture, you can go ahead and color it slightly. Now this part is definitely optional, but it's pistachio barfi, so I want it to be just a little bit green, so I'm adding in a little bit of green food coloring. If you want it to be an even deeper and brighter green, you're going to have to add in a lot, but I'm not adding in a lot today. So at this point, I have that same milk powder mixture with the pistachios that we made earlier. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in a little bit of ghee. And you can replace this with butter, but if you're using this for puja, you have to use the ghee and not the butter. I'm going to go ahead and start to pour that sugar syrup over the top of the ghee, so this way that ghee can melt. Now when you allow the ghee to melt, it's going to add a nice little richness and it's going to make for a better texture barfi in the end. And as I mentioned before, you only want to add in the sugar syrup a little bit at a time. If you add in too much, you're going to get a very sticky and a chewy barfi. And of course, if that's what you like, then add in more sugar syrup. But if you like a very crumbly and dry barfi, you have to add in a little bit at a time and you have to get a very crumbly mixture. And as you all can see, I'm still adding in that sugar syrup a little bit at a time. I'm not just dumping it all in, or else it's going to be way too much. So this right here is the texture that we're looking for. You want something that's very crumbly, and when you mash it together with your fingers, it sticks together. That's exactly what you want. I have a 9 by 9 inch baking dish that I went ahead and I lined with some parchment paper. I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle the bottom with some extra chopped pistachios. I'm also going to do this to the top, just so this way it adds some extra crunch. And at this point, I'm going to put my barfi mixture inside of the pan, and I'm going to spread it out very well. Now there's many methods you can use to spread it out. You can use your fingers to do this. You can oil your fingers a bit and then do it that way. You can also use a rubber spatula. You can use the back of a measuring cup or a measuring spoon, and you can spread it out just any way that makes sense for you and is easy for you. But basically you want to get this as compact as possible, and you want to get it in a nice even layer. So I've got my pistachio barfi all set in my pan. I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle it with some extra chopped pistachios, and I'm going to mash those pistachios in with the spoon so this way they stick properly. And I'm going to allow this mixture to sit here on my countertop for about 2 to 3 hours just because I have the time. If you wanted to make it go faster, you can also leave it in the fridge. So at this point, it is time to cut my barfi. As you all can see, it's set up very, very well, and it's cutting very well as well. If you want to leave it in the fridge, you can, and it will actually let it cut easier than if you just left it on your counter. But whatever way you want to do it, just go ahead and do it that way. Just make sure you're using a very sharp knife so you can get some nice clean and precise cuts. And this right here is what the barfi looks like. Now, as you all can see, being that I broke it apart, it has that perfect crumbly texture on the inside. It is exactly what you want. It is not too soft and it's not too hard. It's the perfect texture for us. So I hope you all enjoy. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel and click that red bell button so this way you never miss out on any of my newest recipes. And of course, drop your comments down below and let me know what you all would like to see next. I'll see you all again very soon in my next video. Bye everyone.